Okay, so I got my delivery. Now the problem with ordering it online is you don't know when the due date is. And, you know, you can't really bypass a dented can. Do you see? It's right there. Alright. Now I'm not going to put this one in long term. But what I'm finding here, people, I don't know if these were frozen or what. Because when I put them out of the box, they were like very damp. Like got my hands wet. They're extremely cold. Like really, really cold. But this box, these are not cold. They weren't damp on the outside, like on the outside, right? They've been in the air for a little while, so they're drying out. But the thing is, I got the box, you can see, of Tang, two of them, right? Now whether I leave them like that and pack them like that, or take them out of the boxes, because then you put them in bags and it just gets rid of some of the bulk. It doesn't get rid of all the bulk, but it just condenses it down, right? Because you really don't need these, okay? Anyway, 2 boxes of that, but the one that the tuna came in, like the box itself is not, I don't know, it's weird. So anyway, now that I have those, I can get back underneath that cupboard, put those in the back, and then, right, and keep these ones out, and then I'll work on the other side. But in the meantime, these ones, the due date on these ones is like, it's this year, April of 24, so that's not too bad, okay? That's 2 years from now or so. This one, it says 22, right? May 22 JN, which June I would think, right? But even if it's that, it doesn't matter. It can stay for longer than that, okay? Again, you watch for things that are bulging. If they're bulging, don't open them. Just chuck them out. If they're starting to rust and, you know, it looks like they're compromised, that's why they say, you know, try and avoid dented cans if you can, or eat them up right away, right? So, now, I may do this again, just because it's going in long term. I've pulled out what I can use now, and I've got more around the house. But I like putting my canning jars like that when I put them in the cupboards, because in this way I fill up the whole cupboard, right? So why not? Okay, so we're just continuing to work on the bottom here. So I took the new salmon and I put it in the back, and then the salmon, which is due in, I think 2016. Oh, hold on a minute. What's going on? 2016. And, why is it doing that? There we go. But it's still fine, okay? As long as your cans aren't bulging, rusting, they're good, okay? And just except for maybe tomatoes, or a lot of tomatoey based food inside the can, like maybe like a chili or something. Pork and beans, they're usually pretty good. So I'm just following through, checking everything, making sure, right? Because every now and then you will get, if you do long-term food stores, you will find. So if you find one, chuck it out. Don't open it. Okay? So hold on. Okay, so now we're going to talk about frozen cans. This is Carnation thick cream that was outside at Pastor Granny's place, because I went there today, right, to talk to the girls, right? Anyway, this was outside. There's more. Now I already got some, and I've got them already in a box downstairs, and I had to wash those cans too. I didn't realize that there was more for whatever reason. So Some of these, like this one here, you can hear it's frozen. Nothing rattling around. Some of them are not. I know they're not. Oh. There, see? This one you can hear. It's not frozen. Now, because it's frozen inside, does that mean that what's inside is bad? No, it doesn't. What you got to do is you got to let it unthaw, right? But I'm going to run them under cold water. Don't put hot to cold, because I want to rinse them off. Okay, if you rinse them off under cold water, even if they're frozen, it's fine. Okay, I'm showing you. Wandering on. Sorry. And then you just air dry them. Okay? Right, now none of these are bulging at this point. At this point. We won't know fully, basically, until everything unthaws. But chances of it bulging, it would have bulged when it was freezing up. And it didn't. These are, I'm telling you. So, you can see what I'm doing now. So hold on. Okay, so basically, there's those potatoes that I shredded and dehydrated. You can see they're done. This video is basically about frozen food that's been frozen. Because this food's been sitting outside. Okay? And then we had that big storm with 1.5 feet of snow for a few days. Alright? I wanted the jars more than I wanted what was inside. This was outside frozen. How frozen inside the jar, I don't know. But if it was that bad, it would have exploded. Okay? I mean, some things were box over box, all mixed up, okay? It was just, right? Pastor Granny's children need a kitchen. And there's a Punjabi lady that apparently comes and picks up some of this stuff. I thought she was taking everything, so, but not like I can get out anyway, people, right? I just went there to offer some help with watching some kids so that they could do the things that they needed to do, right? Because one of Pastor Granny's daughters came over yesterday, and you know, it's been hard for her, so I offered to watch the kids, so I just went by to, you know. Anyway, all this stuff was outside, all mixed up in a whole bunch of boxes that, you know, if I had more time or the weather was better, I've offered to help them to organize it. But I thought this Punjabi lady was taking everything, but I guess she doesn't take everything. I don't know. She gives a lot of it to the homeless people, right? In terms of sandwiches and that kind of stuff. And I guess food to other people. Now this was all frozen at some point. I can feel it. But that's okay. As you can see, I rinsed it off. And now I'm just going to let it air dry. And once it's air dried, then I'm going to peel it. The peels I will dehydrate and I'll grind them up, and that you can use in your yard as a pest deterrent when it comes to bugs, if you want to get them away from your plant or whatever, right? Yeah. Yeah. And then the ginger itself more than likely will be fine. Ginger? Yeah, I just did this, but I'll do it again. Otherwise, it just would have ended up in the city compost. And I couldn't see that happen. It was like, come and take me home. So, hold on a minute. And then, this stuff was all outside too. You can tell it got frozen. But that's okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going through this stuff now. This is a lot of celery. Basically. All frozen at one point. But I'm going to clean it, wash it, cut it, blanch it, and dehydrate it. And it will be fine. Same thing with some of this. Right, use it for soups. Oh my, look. The lettuce is mainly for the rabbits, although some of it looks okay. Right? I got that for the rabbits. And then there's more of these yet. This is good for Amari. I'll figure out a way how to cook with it. This stuff is all frozen. So right now I'm just gonna dehydrate. I'm gonna pull out my other dehydrator. And here's more. And I took this. The last pineapples I had, they weren't edible, but I dehydrated them and grind them up, and I'll use them for plant food. Look at this. This is jalapeno peppers. Wash them up, cut them, dehydrate them, grind them up, and you're good to go. I don't even know really what's in this box. I just took the whole box. All I know is it was frozen. You can tell. Okay, but see, look, it still has ice on it. And there's little cauliflowers. So that's what I'm dehydrating. And whatever else is in this box. I don't know how deep these things go. And then I'm going to see if I can start a couple of pineapple trees. And then there's carrots, you can see, and green onions. So I'm dehydrating all of that. Okay, so all frozen to some degree. Those are beets, jalapeno peppers, carrots, some parsley, green onions, whole bowl of parsnips, whole bowl of, what is that? Brussels sprouts, whole bowl of peppers, plus I got a bowl of tomatoes, and I still got another box outside. Hold on. Okay, so basically you can dehydrate frozen vegetables in a bag. You know, you go to the grocery store and you buy mixed frozen vegetables in a bag. You can dehydrate those, people. Okay? So these were all perfectly fine. So I'm actually thinking of canning these. I'm thinking about it. I don't have really any jars. I'm not trying to figure out a way to get a jar. But they're all nice. Peppers dehydrate nicely. I don't really like them. I do like them, but I don't need them. That's what I'm trying to say. I already have, right? But I wouldn't mind a couple of more jars of canned peppers. So I'm thinking to can these. I don't know if I'll do that tonight. I'm getting kind of tired because I'm moving at a fast pace here. I'm just trying to get things in the dehydrator, right? So I got the jalapenos in the hydrator. I just cut them up. I rinsed them off, cut them up. I didn't blanch them. Blanching anything green with a little bit of baking soda helps to retain the green color for a little while longer. But anyway, this is that celery that was basically most of it frozen. Not all of it, depending on where it was sitting in the box. But you can tell this one had been frozen. You can see. But like I said, well, it's still crunchy though. The outside a little more. But you can dehydrate frozen vegetables from a bag. So I'm going to blanch it for about 1 minute, and then I'm going to throw it in a dehydrator. Hold on. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little follow-up video on this food prep stuff. You see that? That's Greek, right? Yogurt. I am dehydrating yogurt. Okay, I'm going to grind it up, put it in a jar. That'll be great for Amari or whatever I decide to do with it. So in the meantime, I'm just finishing up what I've been doing for the last 7 months, going into 8 months here, people. Oh man, you don't know how tired I am. Like, I'm so tired. I got a borderline headache today, but I just want to get this stuff out of here. Now, I ended up scooping up on a bit more vegetables. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, I know I look lovely, right? But I'm worn out, okay? So anyway, we had the big storm with the snow and everything, and and the Punjabi lady that was picking up the food, I guess with the snow and stuff, it was hard for her to do it. So a lot of that food just ended up being in boxes outside in the snow. So, you know, like, there's two things that would be very hard for me to do. Let me just go turn off this volume.
The hidden tax where the Fed gets to bail out members of their criminal cabal while everyone else suffers. Meanwhile...
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. While everyone else suffers. So, okay, so, you know, I don't know. I offered to watch the kids because, you know, Pastor Granny's daughters are having to deal with stuff, right? And one of her daughters have children. So I went there to, you know, offer to watch the kids so the girls can just focus on what they need to do without any interruptions. So that's how I came across these boxes that were all mixed up, covered in snow. And I came across, I guess you could say, half-frozen vegetables. Maybe some of them were completely frozen. Whatever. You know, I've been doing food stuff for, I'm 60 years old, people. For as long as I can remember, right? So I'm in my comfort zone. So I'm outside, you know, kind of getting dark, picking through this stuff. And, you know, they're, are you okay? I'm like, don't worry, okay, I'm okay. I'm in my comfort zone, right? I like working with food. I guess you could say it doesn't intimidate me. That's why I do these videos, to show people the power of food, you know, especially when you get into canning, home canning, right? The secret to home canning, right? Put this in the right spot, it will sit for 20 years in the jar, people. Okay, so anyway, but needless to say, I created myself more work. And just as I was putting away my dehydrators and winding things down, all I needed was a few more jars, some babies, which one of Pastor Granny's daughters went and got for me yesterday. She was kind enough to go to Canadian Tire and scoop up on a bunch of babies for me. So when she came in the door with the babies, I'm like, oh, my babies, I love my babies. So I got a whole batch new of jars, and that's my last batch to finish up, because I've got a couple boxes here. You know, I still have to finish up with the cocoa. You know, I still got a few things in bags left over from doing everything that I've been doing. So I just want to put everything away. And as I was winding down, I put away my dehydrators and everything. Well, as it is, I've got 2 out now. One here that's been running for hours and hours and hours and days, because I'm doing the yogurt, and then the other one's in the bathroom. I'm took those vegetables, and you know, I sift through everything and salvaged basically what I could. I will show you later. I'm not going to be putting probably this batch of dehydrated food into jars. I think I'm just going to basically leave them, for the most part, depending on what they are, and, you know, depending on what I want to do with them, short or long term. You know, because I'm going to, after this is all said and done, that's when we get into the cooking end of things. The grinding of the wheat to make the bread, to make the donuts, to make the cookies, to make the cake, to make the waffles, to make the pancakes, to make the crepes, whatever it is that we want to make. And then, of course, we've got our canned fruits and just whatever, right? And then, of course, we've got our beans and our lentils and our peas and, you know, those kind of things that I bought from Organic Matters and Good to Go company and whatnot in bulk, right? So, you know, I'm going to make a lot of soups, and I'm going to make homemade sausages with my breadcrumbs and with beans, and you're going to see that's how we're going to go, because I got to pull away from, I don't want to call it hoarding of food, but, you know, I'm at the point where there's really not much that I need. I only did the vegetables because they were in the snow in boxes. And you know, I'm that kind of a person, waste not, want not. And I'm still in the process of doing this stuff. So even though putting the dehydrator away, it made sense just to bring out the dehydrator and top off what I'm doing as I'm doing it, because I needed jars anyway. So, you know, I was kind of stalled for time. So I had that little quote unquote extra time to, you know, follow up on this dehydrating stuff with these vegetables. And I'm glad I did, people. I'm glad I did. because they're tasty as they're dehydrating. And this time I've been blanching anything green with a little bit of baking soda, because it just retains the color better. And you know, as I'm crunching on this stuff, as I'm dehydrating, it's like, oh man, you can't imagine how good it is. Even if they were frozen, they're still good. So, you know, because you can unthaw meat, people, and you know, can meat and dehydrate meat. Just because something was frozen doesn't mean you can't do this or dehydrate it. You would cook it, so what's the difference? So, but I'm worn out. I'm worn out. Through that process, there was a whole bunch of these things that were frozen or semi-frozen. I got some before, but when I went and was picking through the boxes for the vegetables, I found a whole bunch more. Of course, they were soaking wet, somewhat frozen or frozen. I hauled them all home. All right. Washed them, rinsed them off, washed them, had them out on my counter, let everything dry, right, for a couple of days. I had to flip them around, you know. And I've already made something with this for Amari, and he really, really liked it, with my raspberries that grow in my yard that are frozen, and a little bit of honey. And he really liked it. It goes really, really good with his food. So I feel very blessed and very grateful for Pastor Granny's daughters for allowing me to take them all, because I ended up taking them all because they were just, right? You know, it's hard to organize things when dehydrator. I'm going to start pressure canning here parsnips again, only this time I'm doing in quart-sized jars. And then they gave me 2 boxes of this stuff, and of course they were outside, right? So that I had to dry them out, rinse them off, dry them. Well, I didn't really have to rinse them off. They were in a box, but the box was soaking wet with everything else soaking wet. Now, whether they were frozen or not, I don't know. But I noticed I haven't opened this yet. I noticed nothing really moves around in there. I don't hear nothing. This one, after everything unthawed, I could hear it, right? This one is different. But it's an all-purpose creamer, a little bit of soy milk, right? It's not very high in calories, but that's okay because it's something that I can mix in with food. Yeah, calories, 45 calories for a half a cup. And I'm not even really too sure what this is. It says water, hydrogenated coconut oil, milk solids. Okay, so it's got milk in there, right? Anyway, you can see. So I got like 2 cases of those, so I'm feeling very blessed and very grateful. I don't even know how many of these I got, people, but nobody wanted them. And I just, like, to me it was like a gold mine. So, and Amari, it works really good with Amari. So I've been doing that kind of stuff, right? And of course the vegetables, because I'm not going to walk away from them. I'm not. But I'm almost done. I'm almost done. This last little bit that I've got going here right now, as I'm working on filling up my jars and clearing off the table and emptying out whatever's miscellaneous stuff I have in the boxes, then, you know, that it just makes sense to keep doing what I'm doing, so that when it all ends, it kind of, the canning ends, the dehydrating ends, you know, all of it, putting the food storage and bulk, it all ends basically within a week or 2 in terms of upstairs. And then of course, you know, I have to go downstairs and move things around, and I'd say it's probably, well, being that I've done a little more, I still got a good probably 1/3 where I have to put it away for long-term storage and then use it. And that will be new videos coming. Now, whether I put those videos up on YouTube, I don't know, because I don't appreciate YouTube exploiting my family and the mayhem and the misery that we have gone through all these years, just so that YouTube can capitalize off of that and take credit for, like, in terms of their advertisements, right? Make money as they exploit my family, continue to exploit my family, suppress my channel, right? Shadow ban, do whatever it is that fucking YouTube does. Like, serious. But it's kind of important to put those videos out there to keep with the format, right, in terms of, 21 years of working on a foundation. That's the only reason I did those videos, people. And if it inspires other people, right, individuals, real human beings, to, food prep for their own families, right, just because maybe they've seen or heard something on one of my videos, or they can see how it accumulates over a period of time, where eventually you have that food security in your house, right? Then, like, I'm not trying to feed the beast. Like, I'll probably put this video up on YouTube, even though I don't feel very good about it, people. I really don't. I just don't. But, I don't want to, like, I struggle with whether I'm keeping the foundation or not. I'm at that crossroads. I'm not sure yet. Tisha's starting a company. I told her once I do all the food stuff, everything's all put away, and then I can get back into more of a normal routine, assuming that my government doesn't lock me up for disagreeing with whatever it is that they're going to try and ram down my throat. I'm going to help her with her business, because I got lots of fabric and stuff like that. I do kind of want to get into a bit of sewing, especially for the kids, Amari and Andre, and make a few things for Eleme. That would be fun, right? I want to put together some little craft projects, and if I was to do that, then I would take that and I'd put that somehow connected to the foundation. But there's only so many hours in a day, and it's getting really hard for me to see, and in so many ways I'm disgusted with life, and, I don't know when I'm going to be blindsided with bullshit, and then put it up on YouTube and be exploited with their fucking advertisements as they stalk my fucking videos. Yeah, okay. Keep me their bitch. Yeah, okay. Right? So I struggle. I'm at a point where I'm really struggling with things in terms of, do I want to keep the foundation alive? Do I want to jump on that bandwagon and start building on it? Like, I would love to be able to help Pastor Granny's daughters, even that Punjabi woman, but the thing is, it's hard to connect people, right, in terms of, I said, okay, well, the Punjabi woman obviously needs a kitchen. Pastor Granny's daughters obviously need a kitchen, in terms of doing charity work, right? If I was involved, versus just taking the food, bringing it home and processing it for myself, right? I don't like to see the food go to waste, so that's where I would help organize it to make it, flow more proficient in terms of it, where less will go to waste. But then if you don't have the facilities, like a kitchen, it's hard to process that food effectively, whether you're canning it, freezing it, dehydrating it, making meals with it, or just giving it away as in a food box, right? There's 5 right there, 6 different ways, 7 different ways you can process that food, but you have to have a kitchen. So everybody's just Mickey Mousing around, like the Punjabi woman's Mickey Mousing around. As a matter of fact, this is what I mean by Mickey Mousing around. At this point, I guess when she goes to pick up the boxes, she basically picks up all the boxes when she can, does whatever she does with it, mainly gives it to the homeless people, sandwiches or whatever. I don't know if she makes them or what, but or maybe gives food boxes to families. Where she sorts it out, how she sorts it out, I don't know. But she ended up coming back, I guess, in the last day or two, and gave back Pastor Granny's daughters some lard, because she didn't need it. She couldn't give it. Who are you going to give this to, a homeless person? So, right now, and of course, I was mentioning that, I need pork fat because I want to make my own lard. I want a few more jars of that. So, I don't know. Somebody was listening. So now I've got about 10 of these things. I think about 10 or so. when they came in, they were kind of wet in terms of the outside. So before you put them away, and where I'm going to put these after I know that there's no condensation. Like when these came in, they were frozen, so you have to rinse them off. I had to, because they were tossed on the ground, whatever, right? I don't care. This is good stuff, right? And air dry it, flip it, because it will condensate on the bottom as it's okay. So same principle. So they came in wet. So now that the outside is basically dry, before I put them in the fridge, because that's where I'm going to put these ones, in Auntie Shimei's fridge. See, these are slightly damp, right? So what I'm going to do at some point today, I'm going to find a spot where I can just simply take them out of their container. See, people don't know this kind of stuff, right? They don't know that they can do this. So before you put this in the fridge, because it's a little damp for whatever reason, I don't know. I just know that the Punjabi woman, I don't know her name, right? I have to call her, she's Punjabi, right? She came back and she gave back the lard, right? And then I guess I mentioned it to Pastor Granny's daughters that, if you come across some pork fat, let me know, because I'd like to have that anyway. She gave me lard yesterday, but it was damp. So now this is a little damp. I can feel it. So in a situation like this, I will find someplace in the house. There's only about 10 of these. Take it out of its box. Let the box completely dry. Let this air dry. And once this is, you don't open it. You don't have to do that unless it was completely saturated, but it's not. Just let it air dry. After this, you can feel that it's dry. Then, because it's the water that creates the bacteria, people, okay? Get rid of the water, you're good to go. Or bring it to a dormant state, you're good to go, right? So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. And then once it's done, put them back in the box. And then I'm going to put them in a bag. And I'm going to take them downstairs to Auntie Shimei's room. And I'm going to put these way in the back, underneath on the bottom shelves. And they'll sit for years. Okay? Years. Now this stuff isn't like real lard. It's been processed. Okay? It's not like lard, but for making whatever, in times of need or convenience, it works good. If you buy them in the cans, which I still probably have 1 or 2 around the house, they'll sit forever, okay? Again, it boils down to a cool, dark place, right, with limited moisture, okay? All right? And if it's moist, before you put it in there moist, you dry it out. In this situation, you just seen what I was talking about. So, stuff like that, you need a kitchen, right? In order to be able to, if it came in damp, you can set it up, let it air dry. You've got something else going over there, something else going over there. Anyway, I don't know if and when that will ever happen for these women, including myself, but I just, I just say, you need a kitchen. She needs a kitchen, she needs a kitchen. This one over there needs a kitchen, I need a kitchen. We all need a kitchen, and if we all got one kitchen and shared the kitchen, I'm sure there's a whole lot of stuff that we could do with that kitchen, people. Because I'm at the point where I don't really need to do in my own kitchen anymore because, I'm tired. I want to do other things in life. I want to make body creams. I want to make candles with the kids. I want to make beautiful soups for the kids. I want to sew, right? There's other things. I have to work in the yard when the spring comes. I'm using up the vinyl this year. This year coming is in the yard. This year, this one now leaving was all food. I can't believe I did 8 months straight of food. But we can thank the provincial government basically for that one. And if the cost of living gets really out of control, I'm okay, people. I'm okay. But I want to get off this bandwagon where I feel like I have to rescue this food because it's sitting in a box and nobody's really paying attention to it. And I can see it spoiling. And I know that I can preserve it and make it last for a long, 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 long time. Right? That's kind of like a OCD thing that I have going in my head here. And this is, you know, I have to break away from it because I just do. But I have to finish what I'm doing. So rescuing a little more food in terms of these vegetables and just going that little extra mile since I'm in here anyway, you know, it only made sense, right? But once it's done, that's it. My videos are going to change. I'll be doing very limited stuff around this because I don't need it. See, that's the thing. Like, you know, Pastor Granny's daughters, they come, they say, you need bread? And I'm like, no, I'll take one loaf. Maybe two. That's all, right? I don't need it because between the breadcrumbs and the wheat, right? I just don't need it. I don't need to make no breadcrumbs. I'm good. I'm looking forward to making sausages and that kind of stuff with these breadcrumbs, right? That's where I'm at with my life right now in terms of food security in my house. But I have to wean myself from that feeling, I don't know, insecure, right? I'm beyond insecure. I should not be feeling insecure. But I get frustrated because I know that whatever is being donated to Pastor Granny's, you know, and her daughters could be processed so much better if the women, I guess, come together and get a kitchen. So as I go into this transition out of food storage in my own house, you know, I'm trying to put the bee in the bonnet with the women that I come into contact with. Well, we need a kitchen. I see Pastor Granny's daughter, we need to get, you know, just like I said to Pastor Granny, we need to get you a kitchen. I now say it to her, we need to get you a kitchen. All right? I don't know if I said it to the Punjabi woman. I met her one time, only once, and it was just for a very short time. Right? But, you know, they used to do it in their churches, but the government screwed them over. They can't do nothing in their churches no more, in their temples. All right? And if it is, it's like it's on lockdown, people. It's like they're starving, the government's starving out the people and making it really hard for the ones that like to help others and work with food and, you know, just keep that going, you know, right? Punjabis, they like food. You know, they do a lot of cooking. The government's made it really, really hard for them. You know, they can't really do much in their temples anymore, not like the good old days. And I'm sure many of them want to get back to those good old days. This is where maybe some of these women just need to become more like warriors. You know, tell the men to get the fuck out of the way. We're taking over for a while. We want our kitchens back. There you go. Get the Punjabi women. We want our kitchens back. We want our kitchens back. Boy, oh boy, that would rock BC, British Columbia, Canada. Could you imagine 500,000 Punjabi women? We want our kitchens back. We want our kitchens back. That's what it's going to take. Right? Otherwise, you end up like me, just going like this. Right? And then you get to the point where you just need to veer off and leave that and go spin somewhere else. So I'm at the point where I'm ready to fly off and start spinning with something else. Not quite though. So this is what this video is. We're coming to near the end of food prep. Okay? Just topping off on a few things. Just as a final touch, right, to that food prep. Okay? And I got my beautiful babies. My beautiful babies. Oh man, I got some nice jars, people. I love my jars. Beautiful babies. I got 6 more of these, and I've got 2 1-gallons coming. I had to order just because I want to get rid of this junk. It's not junk, but you know, I got boxes of still miscellaneous rice and beans and lentils and things that didn't all get put away the first time because I ran out of jars. Right, so I just want to put everything away, and so I'm kind of excited to get to that stage. So I figure about another week, and I'm pushing hard, people. Oh my God, you don't know. Today I'm canning in quart-sized jars parsnips. I do have parsnips in what, 500 mil? But I'm gonna do 1 or 2. That's whole nutmeg, right? I'm gonna do 1 or 2 jars I'll probably get 2 jars and a half of parsnips, because, you know, right, that's what I tried to tell you before. A jar here, 2 jars there. Before you know it, you've got a whole case. Once you get a couple cases of this, that, and everything else, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you're good. You're good. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to put this video. I feel like I'm being YouTube's bitch if I put this up on YouTube. And that really irks me. Okay, so you can see that's the lard, right? Now I took everything out, right? You can see it's drying, right? Let them air dry. They're all air drying. Same thing with this, because it's a little damp. At some point, I'll flip them over so that the bottom part dries, has a chance to dry, right? Oops, sorry. I'm having a really hard time with my eyes. After I'm all done with this part, I'm going to have to do something about it, people. It's getting really hard. Now, mind you, I've been working really hard, and by the end of the day, I've been like, kind of like get dizzy and shaky, and just because, you know, I'm pushing. I've been working really freaking hard on this, okay? So, that's why I put my dehydrators away. But as it is, I pulled them back out. But we know why, and no regrets. So I'm grateful to have this. I still want to do my own with pork fat and jar it up, but that's for another day. I still have lots of... I'm going to make Jell-O with this. But I still have lots of jarred fruit from what, last year? Not this year, but the year before. We got the strawberries, the blueberries, right? So, lots of strawberry pie, blueberry pie, right?
Course, do not want to have people who are ill.
I'm just plugging along here, okay? I'm listening to the province again.
The risk that it brings to the setting. So
they got these kids in these schools, people, with a 3-layer mask. I asked Andre's little friend, who's subject to that, in my opinion, child abuse, but besides that point, you know, what's it like for him? And he says, you know, he doesn't have a choice, right? They're forced to do it. The kids are forced to wear these masks all day long, except for when they go outside for 15 minutes. They're allowed to take it off. But other than that, the whole time they're in school, they have to wear a mask over their face, and it's a 3-layer, a special kind of mask. And if they don't come to school with it, they give it to the kids. Plus, they've got them testing themselves before they go to school. You know, if the health check, you know, they got this, and then they got them testing in the schools. Like, this is psychoses, people. Like, this is trauma-based splitting of personalities, you know, splitting the whole of the human being through that cortisol with the trauma. When you're under trauma all the time, the cortisol shoots in your brain, and then you add more trauma. All it does is it splits personalities, people. Covering up the mouth, well, I don't even want to say especially for children, but just for human being in general. It deprives the brain of oxygen, deprives certain organs and glands, and just, right, the hippocampus and all kinds of stuff, right? It just makes me so angry, people, that I just don't know why. Well, I kind of know why. I know why the general population is so dumb, because Shimei told me the majority of them can't even read and write English. They're passing them from grade 12 without the skills with critical thinking, and now they're just, I don't know what they're doing now to the kids, people, but we're going to have a whole generation or more of really inept human beings that are not only going to be psychologically fucking damaged and have psychoses and are going to become hypochondriacs, you know, sick every 2 weeks, right? Got to run to the doctor and get another shot or pop some pills or whatever it's going to be. But they're just going to be, I don't know, I don't know, people. I just don't know what to think. So anyway, all I know is that some of these Punjabi women in my community are getting pissed off. This is all I fucking know. Okay, and I know they want their kitchens back, okay? I mean, what woman wouldn't want her kitchen back, okay? So I'm gonna put a title on this one: 500 Punjabi women / want their kitchens back, okay? Because they got WorkSafe BC, again, with all the businesses, all of them, doesn't matter what the business is now, bringing up their plexiglass and social distancing and making people stand outside in the freezing cold because you're only allowed 2 people in the fucking store. Just stupid shit like this. Like, this is what I mean. Like, it's so asinine, right? And over a cold, they got doctors and nurses home because of a cold, but they're going to let them maybe come back to work because there's not enough staff in the hospitals. Whose fault is that, people? It's not the doctor's fault. It's not the nurse's fault. It's the fucking government's fault for taking a molehill and turning it into a mountain and exploiting the most vulnerable in our population in terms of those dumbed-down individuals that were passed as they went through school and never really fucking figured it out that they have to have their own thinking skills, right? Critical thinking skills, right?
So that there is good protection.
And because we have a lot of immigrants out here from like numerous different countries from all over the place, you know, a lot of them, they come in, they can't speak English, you know, or whatever, or barely speak English or whatever it is. Those ones are so easy to manipulate, right? And then their kids go through the system, and the union just passes them along, so that at some point the union people, the senior staff within the unions, the government unions, this is what they do.
Parents know kids, and if in doubt, keep them home for a day if it's getting better.
Anyway, I can't get bent out of shape over it.
That's how we're going to have to manage.
Like, I'm listening and I just want to cry. So I want to finish up with this crap. Okay, it's not crap, but you know what I mean. 7, 8, going into the 8th month, I'm done. I only did this because I don't like to see food freeze to nothingness, right? Nobody wanted it, right? Nobody cared at that point. So therefore, I took it upon myself. You know, God helps those who help themselves, all right? Right? I don't know how many of these I got. Probably 300-400 of these people. They're $4 a piece. You do the fucking math on that one, okay? And that's just those. And then those vegetables, well, I'm tired, but I'm going to finish it. Hold on, I'll show you. Okay? Got my little system going on. That's the yogurt that I'm dehydrating. There's the parsnips. This time I'm doing in quart-sized jars with a little bit of carrot. There's my blanching water, because it's best to just take out some of the air, right? There's my water to fill up my jars, right? There's my jars. I'm going to wash my jars right now. Plus, I'm going to wash a couple of, I'm going to wash a couple of,
So they know what is a general level.
Hold on a minute. I don't know what I did. Okay, I'm going to wash a couple of these size. This is 500 mil, just in case I don't, because I just want to can everything. So I don't know how many quart size I'm going to get in there. Anywhere between, I'd say 5 to 7 quarts, and maybe 1 or 2 of these. And I'm good. And then I'm going to get into beets. I'm going to show you. I'm just shredding these. They're not fresh enough to can, but I'm going to peel them and shred them. I don't blanch them because I don't like to leach out the beet juice. So I got some beets there. So I'm going to do that. And then you can see I've got a whole bunch of oranges over there. And I got some oranges in the box. All those orange peels I'm going to be peeling, and I'm going to probably make candy peel, orange candy peel. And instead of boiling it 3 times this time, people, okay? Instead of boiling it 3 times, I'm only boiling it once because I don't want to lose the nutrients within the peels, because I don't trust our governments. I don't know what's going to happen in another year from now. We might need those orange peels just to be able to bring in vitamin C into our diet, because they'll have the border so locked down and California will slide off into the ocean and there won't be no freaking oranges available. And if you make candy peel with those kind of things, I'm telling you, they'll stay forever in a jar, sealed. Normally you boil them 3 times. Boil, drain, boil, drain, boil, drain. And then you throw in some sugared water with a whole bunch of sugar in there. And you boil it down. And then you put it on your dehydrator tray. And you dehydrate them to the consistency that you want them. And they'll last forever, people. And there's your vitamin C, because it might be the only vitamin C when it comes to an orange. That, unless, of course, I stocked up on 4 boxes of Tang with 60 pouches per box. You do the math. And 1 cup of Tang is the equivalent of what you need in terms of vitamin C in a day. So, you know, you need to prepare and little things like that, because, you know, this is nefarious activity in the wide open, people. Okay, you are smothering the minds, smothering the minds of children. What do you think you're going to get as an end result in another 10, 5, 15, 20 years from now in terms of intelligence?
In terms of the COVID safety plans, I've been...
Seriously, and that's not including the injuries that come along with inoculations that don't match up, period, that don't match up. I'm not going to get into that one. That's a bitch shoot fucking video. So yeah, I want to finish this stuff up so that I can get on with other things in life. Right? But I hear this stuff and it just makes me mad. It makes me so mad, because I can see the abuse, people. This is social abuse at the highest extent. Some people like to be abused. Other people like to be abusive. And the one thing that I've learned about the government after all these years on this fucking planet is the government and their employees on average, not all, but on average, are the most abusive, because they're the ones with the biggest fucking entitlement mentalities that walk around thinking that they fucking shit out fucking roses. And that God, even though they don't worship God, but that God fucking somehow appointed them to be better than everybody else, because they work for the government. And it doesn't matter what they do, because the government will protect them. We know that with Uncle John now, don't we? And we know what the fuck they're going to try and do with Shemaine.
I expect there'll be a bit of a transition for some businesses, and some of them...
I guess the more they can dumb down the population, the more fucking crimes that they can commit and go unchallenged. Is that the goal? Is that the reason to be passing fucking kids from grade 12 when they can't fucking read and write?
In terms of the Canucks, we've had an ongoing discussions. I've said this before, supporting their operations.
There was no reason for Shemaine to tell me that. Outside of it was the truth. And now the government's just compounding it, which reinforces what Shemaine told me. Right? Dumb them down even younger. Because that's what they're doing with their kilos of hippocampus, so that you don't fucking remember anything. Except, when you get up in the morning, this is what you have to remember. Check, 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 check. And then when you get to school, it's check, 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 check. And then you go to that X, you go to this X, you go to that X, and then it's check, 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 check. That's what you're supposed to remember. That's what these kids are being trained for, people. That's their education, people. As their brains are slowly but surely fucking, just shrinking, little bit by little bit. You see, death is like this. Why everybody's so fucking afraid of it, I'll never know, people. Poof, you're gone. And everything else stays behind and nothing else moves except you. Uncle John, Shemaine, Sierra, Well, they almost got Amari, but they had bigger plans for him. And we're not through that fucking tunnel yet.
Got an appointment for Saturday on Tuesday.
So you got a whole fucking province of cowards running from death
Yesterday, and I got one for Saturday. So we have
so that they can protect the fucking healthcare system.
and going to become available.
Wow.
We're raising the
Wow, what great governance.
I'm confident we're going to be able
Okay, yeah, so I'm listening to this, and I'm telling you, I'm so livid, people. Like, all I can think about is,
of looking at how we can make this more
really,
more automated. more
do 500,000,
people-intensive,
and the reason I say
and
500,000
give us a
is,
sense of what we need to know. So we
Punjabis,
are right now measuring
they're just not in your local area, they spread out.
everybody in,
So in other words,
in
they have
each
friends
city with
in
the
other
city
provinces and
population.
other countries.
So that will be a mixture.
Right, I don't think we have 500, I know we have 500,000 wow. We have about 370,000 or so, or maybe more, of Punjabis just in the Surrey area alone. But in terms of the whole province, I don't know about that. But, or maybe we don't have. Anyway, we have a lot of them out here, okay? And one time they had a Vaisakhi and they had over 500,000 Punjabis running up and down King George. That was about 3 years ago before all this shit started. Okay? And they were flying in from all over the place. So that's why I say 500,000 Punjabi women. Okay, we might have 100 and 200,000 Punjabi women or more throughout the whole province. Probably more. But we're just going to cap it at 500,000 Punjabi women. Do 500,000 Punjabi women really want to be Dr. God's Dr. Death's bitch? I don't know how to say it any other way, people. Okay? I mean, clearly we're dealing with some kind of institutional racism here.
So that is a measure of
Punjabis aren't white. But the one making the orders just came out of nowhere, was hired up in 2018, specifically for what's going on because of those frameworks and those accords that came in 2015. Right?
And so it takes more time to do that, and
you know?
a little bit of a delay. So what we're working on,
like,
what we
they must be crying because they're very social, Punjabi women that is, with their cooking.
for two different reasons. And we're
The men too. The men like to cook. They like to eat.
What's the best measure
Okay?
for us to understand?
And I can only imagine that psychological cortisol bringing in fucking permanent psychoses
We'll have more to say about
for the ones that aren't waking up, for the ones that aren't waking up, people. Because there are some that are waking up
discussions with my colleagues in
and they're getting mad because they miss their fucking kitchens. Okay, I'm not talking like this kind of kitchen. I'm talking like the kitchens in the temples and those kind of things.
Thank you.
Right?
And,
In their restaurants without the interference of WorkSafe BC. Right? Putting up barriers between everybody, treating us like we're fucking diseased cattle.
Right now,
I think I can get this whole thing in there.
It's
gonna be overflowing.
Don't have any
Shit.
symptoms. The children don't have any symptoms. Can those
You know,
children students go to
as
school?
you know, it's enough that their kids aren't getting the education that they need, except for the ones that are pampered, because remember, some of them are allowed to succeed, well, many others are not. Okay, we already went through that with Shemaine. Okay, if you got 80% of grade 12s not being able to read and write properly, you can guarantee a lot of them are Punjabi youth. Okay, what's going to happen to those families, people? As those children now they're having to face with their hippocampuses being smothered again. They're only allowed to remember one thing, and that's what the government tells them. They're not allowed to remember what's being taught to them, because whatever's being taught to them is being taught through filters. I'm so mad. I'm so mad, people. You don't know how mad I am. It's pathetic. I don't know how to... That was my coffee. I don't know how to fix that problem. Right? I'm white. Okay? It's hard to communicate with the Punjabis when you're someone like me. Okay, 21 years on a foundation, I'm still sitting like a lump on a log, right? Okay, you don't think institutional racism in that aspect, in terms of racism from the brown population, didn't play a little bit of a role? Of course it did. But at the end of the day, I don't know why they can't wake up and smell the fucking coffee and realize that, you know, maybe some of them can buy themselves some time, maybe thinking that they're going to be able to keep whatever it is they fucking have. But at the end of the day, you know, we know who's in charge, right? It's the big guy, Satan, right? We got a lot of devil worshippers running the country right now. Okay, a lot of it. They took it out of the Criminal Code of Canada in 2018 in December. Why are we not surprised, right? So that they can do what they want when they want. Satanists, that is. And they're doing it, people. 500,000 Punjabi women crying for their good old days, right? Came to Canada so that they could be free to find out now that they're nothing more than fucking slaves. Yep. Slaves to corrupt, basically, white people who basically are the majority, who run the government, assuming that they're not clones, synthetics, hybrids, or holograms being run by some Chinese, what is it called, gang, right? Because, you know, you don't see these people in public. You only see them on YouTube, right? If you notice, though, never no advertisements on their videos. I wonder why. How come they get a free pass? Why? Okay, so I'm rocking in here. Okay, this is why I just want to finish up. Here's my babies! My babies! I got babies! I got more babies than those! And then we got, just bring it to a boil for a couple of minutes, right? Because what it does is it sucks out the air, so that when you put it in the jar and then fill up the jar, it's not going to push out, hopefully, as much liquid, right? Because air pushes out liquid, right? So you want to take out some of the air. That's the purpose of that. Okay? And then that's just after I'll finish, right? Fill up the jars. And I got enough to do what I got to do. And then after that, I'm probably going to get into these beets. After everything's all put away, these are almost dry, right? That's all it took. Even though I'm steaming up the house, you can hear it. It's starting to get crackly, right? So put those back and then put them in a bag, put them by the door, and then I'm taking them downstairs later and putting them in anti-schmaz room. So I'll probably have enough time to do the beets today. And then I've got pears out on the porch, frozen, because it was just in a box saying, take me home. And pears are good for Amari. So I've got pears in there with apples, basically frozen. So I'll bring that in. When that comes, I'll do a video on that, just to show you that don't be afraid of these things if you come across them. And, you know, most people would just walk away and throw them out. I understand how to work with food, people. I'm trying to tell you, right? I'm trying to show you, right? If it's frozen, it's good. All you have to do is unthaw it, cook it up, can it. Amari's rocking. So anyway, listening to this garbage, though, it just makes me so mad. 3 layers all day long with teeny wee little kids with the fucking Fraser Health Authority, Andrew the Dragon, running around with his, ooh, you don't know what I wanted to say, his pointer, protecting the government, not protecting the kids, not protecting the elderly, not protecting the vulnerable, not putting criminals in jail, but protecting the government. And this is what 500,000 Punjabi women are protecting as they forfeit on their kitchens. Okay, so it's smelling really good in here. All I got was 5 jars, but whenever you do stuff like this, you don't know, right? So you want to make sure you have extra jars, but just in case. So this is good. I'm really happy with this, people. Like, you don't know how happy I am. I put about a teaspoon of salt at the bottom of the jar, right? So, hold on. Okay, so I'm going to be coming to an end on this video here pretty soon. Dehydrator, pressure canner, right? telling you people, I'm getting tired. But I like canned food. Not every day, but when I cook with it, oh, I really like it. And now that I've got more diversity here, right? Going to those videos, assuming that I don't get enraged with anger, that it tipped me over the edge, you know, right? You see, that's what these politicians want. That's how the public union sector as a whole, as a workforce, right? That 600,000, 800,000 employees out of a province of 5.6 million people, which is probably 5.7 million now. So 700,000 of them, you know, they got everybody on lockdown just so that those 700,000 can basically have a guaranteed income, guaranteed superannuation life insurance policy, guaranteed perks, guaranteed dental plans, guaranteed medical plans, right? Right, guaranteed pensions, right? And then some of them will be robbed, like Uncle John, right? You know, the ones that they think that they can rob, they will rob, right? So, well, the other 5 million people are dumbed down. Basically, people, dumbed down. Okay? I can't say it any other way. So, now that when you get to this stage, you kind of have to stay around the canner because you have to keep adjusting the temperature so it doesn't go hit the roof, right? I'm just bringing it up to 10 pounds per pressure, and then I do it for 35 minutes because it's quart size. I think it's 35 or 40 minutes. I'll have to double check. 35 minutes. Let me just go see. Hold on. I can't remember these things offhand. I do too much in a day. 35 minutes for a quart. A liter, right? So I basically stand here on my feet adjusting the temperature. In the old days, with just the rocker, right, I'd be having it on blast. By the time I'd open up the canner, there'd be no water in it if I was going into 100 or 110 minutes when I was doing fish. Oh, my heart go like this. With this thing, it's a little different because you can turn down the heat and it goes anywhere between 1 and 4, and you have to keep moving it around just to so it doesn't go below 10 pounds per pressure. So, you know, kind of makes me wonder how I was canning with the other canner that didn't have a gauge on it. But I did. I was just rocking it, that's all. So now, we're almost there. Just gonna finish up this video, you know, thinking about, well, you can muster up the energy to do these beets. That's one less thing. Then I've got the oranges to do, which I won't do today. The pears on the porch with the apples, which is basically a full day, because it's a fair amount, right? That's why I needed more babies. Jars, that is. That's for Amari, specifically for Amari. And then I've got a few more sweet potatoes to bake. I need a break from this. My heart's always going like this with this shit. My nerves are frazzled. See, that's all sweet potatoes. Isn't that nice, people? Look at that. That is so good. So anytime Pastor Granny's daughters come by, I scoop up on them because I want to fill this up, right? And then I'll feel good about it. So I still have to do those, but I'm dehydrating other things first. And then, what else do I got to do? There's something else. There's something else I have to do. Can't remember. We've got the beets, which I'll probably do today. Oh yeah, I might just can 3 more jars, half pints of peppers, so I get the 1 whole case, and I'm good, plus whatever I've got downstairs that I've already done. So I'm feeling really good about that. Because they're sitting right there, and I think I'll just maybe, because the canner's already out, right? Because I really wanted to put the dehydrators away. I wanted to put the canner away, although I do want to take out some black cod. Although I do want to take out some black cod from my freezer and unthaw it and can it in salmon jars. So I still might do that before I finally put this canner away. Right? We'll see. It's just something I want to do. And you have to watch, right? Because if it goes too low, you have to start all over again. Now there's bigger jars in there, so it looks like it was requiring more heat. Right? I have 33 minutes to go. And I'm already frazzled. I woke up frazzled. And then listening to that stuff just made me more frazzled. Because you know, why would you want to dumb down the general population to the point where they're going to become, many of them will develop dementia, Alzheimer's disease, obsessive compulsive disorders, will become lifelong hypochondriacs, and all those other andriacs issues, right? But I guess the premier of this province got that base all covered because he's bringing in all these cancer clinics to compensate with 50% of the population coming down with cancer over the next umpteen years. Doesn't tell you how they're coming down with it. He just says 50%. Like, what kind of leadership is that, people? Well, the Punjabi women are crying for their kitchens. Right? Basically. In terms of a social thing, right? Well, sure, they might have their own little household kitchens, but it's not the same when you're cooking for a party. In terms of a celebration and just celebrating life in general, being sociable. Something that's basically illegal now. As if that's not going to create psychological, long-term, permanent brain damage. That in itself. This is what I mean by critical thinking skills. I don't know why people can't see past what's in front of them with the wool pulled over their eyes. So I'm going to stand here, get this done. I think I said what I had to say for today. And put the jars here after the fact. Show it to you. And then we'll just call it a video. Right? And if YouTube wants to slap on their advertisements, well, what can you expect from a shady company? Lead you down the garden path for 11 years, slap you around, beat you up, isolate you, punish you, ostracize you, criticize you, humiliate you, and then capitalize off of you. Okay, is this a safe YouTube video? I don't know anymore, people. I don't know. I shouldn't even be putting this up on YouTube. It kind of defeats the purpose. But, in the sign of the times, it's important for people to understand that they can't drop the ball when it comes to food security in their own house. And I show you in little bits and batches how to do it in terms of building in food security. Because the community itself, okay, the 500,000 Punjabi women, they've lost that right. They can't build in food security for their community. They can only build it in within their households. And even then, they're not safe, people. And the ones that are waking up are realizing that. I couldn't imagine what 500,000 mad Punjabi women would be like. Now, that's something to contend with, don't you think? How would you control that one? They'd be coming after the government. We want our kitchens back! Give us back our kitchens! Now! Now! We are Canadian! We are free! We want kitchens! That would be a sight to see. And then the men, because they like to eat, they'll just come up behind them with their swords, doing their, you know, they have, well, they used to be able to practice and, you know, their culture, right, in terms of, like, just whatever, right? So when they had their parades, you know, they do their things with their swords. So yeah, the men will come up behind the Punjabi women, 500,000 Punjabi men doing their swords, right, to say, you go girls, we're hungry, we want those kitchens back. I should have been a storyteller. It took me too long to figure out how to read and write, though. Right? That didn't really kick in until I founded the foundation. And then, of course, it was the public union sector who basically humiliated me all these years and made me self-doubt myself as if I didn't write anything of substance. Anything that I did write of substance, they just took it for themselves and imported it into their own fucking agenda, and now they've twisted everything and they basically put everybody into fucking hell. That's true. That's true, people. So yeah, I've decided to just fill up this, make it a full case, 12 jars, right? A half pint. And then I've got, oh, I don't know. I got more than 6 anyway. I'm not sure. I got of the 500 mils, right? That's a half pint. Or I'm sorry, I got maybe 6 jars that are pints. And then if I do the 12 half pints, that's pretty good, right? Look how nice those are. Okay, so I'm done. Well, what do you think? Huh? And there's those beets, shredded already. I mean, they're not optimal in the best shape, but hey, dehydrated like that, they're fine. And then you cook them up when you need them. So yeah, tomorrow will be probably the pears. And now I'm gonna do the beets. And then after the beets, I'm gonna empty out one tray there, because it's ready. See? And do 2 more trays. Hold on.